Next one. AMistad was a film directed by Steven Spielberg, and Britain seems to foster universal ideas for proper living, while at the same time they were perpetuating the violent enslavement of Africans and other imperialist cruelties around the world, causing untold misery and destroying millions of lives. Within this politicalized context, the film AMistad observes the colonial violence and its impact on the natives who are struggling to liberate themselves from the shackles of slavery. Yamba, the one who is holding the Bible, is Yamba. Yamba, an apparent rival of Sinke, the other person, the real hero of the film, has become a devotee of Jesus Christ. He is led to believe by the Bible that just like Christ, after his death, after Yamba's death, he will be sent to heaven as Christ was taken to heaven. This example is the best instance to indicate white domination over the black. The Bible is given to him by white Christian missionaries. Under these circumstances, Yamba has no choice but to embrace Christianity as his sole path towards redemption. He somehow teams up his pathetic condition with that of Christ and begins to believe that all these earthly torture will dissolve and he would be rewarded with pleasant home in the afterlife. Here the native Yamba is denying his own religious faith, his own nativity, and investing his entire trust in the images of Bibles. Mind you, he cannot read English. Alright, he cannot read English. The eye-catching pictures of the life and crucifixion of Christ stimulate his psyche, and within no time he falls for Christianity. Well, this scene clearly emphasizes that the whites have glorified the miracles of Christ and target the innocent slaves to embrace their religion. This is going to be the last film I will be referring to, and this is a very controversial and disturbing and thought-provoking movie directed by Stanley Kubrick. A Clockwork Orange expresses a strong sense of retaliation towards the fixed definition of goodness. What is goodness? And questions whether erasing the human yearning for sex and violence make him a better man. I am bringing this film in connection with the plea for capital punishment. This topic is dancing on everyone's tongue. The movie tells the story of Alex, a leader of a young manic bunch of brutes. That's how the narrator calls his friends in the film. There is nothing good to be found. I'm quoting good here. There is nothing good to be found in the behavior of Alex. He, along with his troops, engages ultra-violent activities such as stealing the car, beating an old man in his own home, and forcibly raping his wife. For his crime, Alex is sentenced for 14 years. The Minister of the Interior, in search of the test subject for the Ludovico technique and an experimental aversion therapy. Alex, what are your volunteers for this therapy? I mean, the therapy stops a criminal by showing violent behavior at all. As I said earlier, the central theme of the film revolves around the tussle between imposed goodness and learned violence. If a human being is cleansed of sinful criminal activities through a behavioral therapy, can it actually make him a good man? It's a social satire which questions the society's reliance on behavioral psychology and psychological conditioning. It might be behavioral psychology might be a new weapon for a society that wishes to impose a totalitarian government which would eventually control its citizens and seizes the existence of free will. That's what Hitler did. He shot whoever protested. To bring in the Hitler memories here, the director Stanley Kubrick makes Alex watch the clippings of a concentration camp with the background music of Beethoven. You must know that Alex is fascinated towards music just as he fascinated towards violence. I mean, that's the only thing that makes Alex different from his other friends. He loves the composition of Beethoven. There is a duality in this nature of treatment. It delivers a lecture on free will. At the same time, Alex had been robbed of his natural. This is a treatment. I mean, he was forced to watch violent pictures, especially depicting the Nazis' concentration camp. And strangely, the doctors or psychiatrists play Beethoven in the background music, and he associates music with violence. And later onwards, somehow he begins to feel sick whenever he listens to music. That's the side effect which the therapy imposes upon him. There is a duality in this nature of treatment. It delivers a lecture on free will. At the same time, Alex had been robbed of his natural instincts, such as anger, healthy, common desire to have sex, so on and so forth. The worst part about the therapy is it imposes Alex to develop a strong sense of repugnance, strong sense of repulsion towards music, something he loves from a pure heart. Soon after the therapy is released, Alex is released from the hospital and behaves like a perfect, steadfast citizen, but not voluntarily. I mean, his goodness is involuntary. We have a prison chaplain who opposes the heinous method of government and declares there is no morality without the choice. That is the director wants us to observe. The true goodness comes only when a man has internalized virtues and ethics inside him. It must come from within. But the ruling party does not mind this position and wipes it out, asserting that they don't give a damn about the moral implication but only the means to prevent violence. They need to prevent violence. That's all matters to them. Scaring people to death result in the bunch of criminals who are afraid to commit the crime. The fear of death is resisting death from indulging in anti-ethical behavior. But inside their psyche there is a constant rage, craving to satisfy their desires which are forbidden. They don't see murder as a true crime which involves ending someone else's life, but they perceive it as something prohibited. Mr. Alexander, a victim of Alex gang, wants to have revenge against Alex. In the meantime, he belongs to a liberal party and wants to use Alex as a pawn to destroy the conservative party which holds the power. So ultimately, Alex has been instrumentalized by either sides. The rehabilitation leaves Alex as an individual repelled by both sex and violence. In showing the morally cured Alex, the movie concentrates on those immoral conditions which have left him dehumanized. So what is real and what is created? Last one. Are we relying heavily upon some compulsion that would deprive us from our own free will? I think violence not only is our instinct, but it's also an essential. It is also essential sometimes to find answers for forbidden questions like this. For example, in Clockwork Orange, the director doesn't validate either parties, neither the Liberative Party nor the Conservative Party, as both of them use Alex to meet their own ends. So this picture has eyes. They are not pierced, so neither are they bleeding. I hope we will learn to see and choose what's right and what's not. Thank you.
Small announcement. Our volunteers will be distributing the feedback forms to you. So please fill it and hand it over to them before the plenary session. The next participant is Ashwin.